SSLFamilyDad with Simple Suburban Living, and today I'm going to be doing a quick walkthrough on how to change the oil in a 2009 Chevy Traverse. This will also hold true for a 2010, 2011, and 2012, I believe. Any of those model years should line up pretty accurately with what we're going to be showing you today. So, again, pretty simple process, but I just wanted to go through how I change oil and what oil I use and that kind of stuff in case anyone else likes to do this themselves instead of using the oil change places. So, just kind of a bit of advice. I have found that a lot of those oil change places, the ones you pay $30 for, and you slide through and they do it in 10 or 15 minutes, they generally, unless you pay the extra money to have a good oil put in, they generally don't use very good oil, and they also fly through those things, and they a lot of times miss things. I've had guys put oil in the coolant container on accident in the truck before. I've had them leave oil plugs loose. I've had them do all kinds of other things. So I like to do it myself anyway, and I would recommend you do the same as well. So as far as what you need to do this, you obviously need some oil. Here I buy this one's 5 quarts. We won't use quite all that, I believe. I'm going to look up the exact amount we'll use here in just a moment. I would recommend you spend a little extra money and get the better oil. This is a synthetic blend. It's a little more expensive than just your basic motor oil. You can use 5W or 10W30. This stuff particularly is recommended for mileage over 75,000, which ours is just over that now. So you need a socket wrench here. This is a 15 millimeter or the US equivalent. Will work. I think either one of those should grab the oil. This is to take off the oil drain plug. Obviously you need a new oil filter, which is something you want to replace each time you change the oil as well. Any auto parts store can hook you up with the right one of those. And a lot of times you'll need an oil filter wrench of some sort. This is a cheap one that specifically fits this oil filter. You can just throw a socket wrench on there and this helps you get it off. The oil filters actually shouldn't be tightened down there tighter than you should be able to get it off with your hand, but sometimes they are slippery and hard to grab, so having one of these little guys is a good idea. This one was only a couple bucks. So but that's really everything you need. I would also recommend having like a shop light or some type of light. You don't really need to jack up the vehicle in this particular model. You can. It makes it easier to work underneath it for sure, but there is enough clearance underneath the vehicle to slide in there, and the oil plug's not too far in. So if you have jack stands, you want to do that, that's fine, or ramps or something like that, but I'm just doing it quick here without those. So so first thing you want to do is locate what you need to work with here. So in these models, there's the oil filter is actually easy to access from the top. You can see straight down there that blue thing there, that's the oil filter, and we'll be able to reach right down from the top here and unscrew that. You can access it from the bottom also if you have the vehicle jacked up, but it's pretty easy to reach down from the top here. So just a word of caution, their exhaust manifold is right there, and you don't want to work on the vehicle if it's hot. So make sure your vehicle's cooled down before you reach in here and burn yourself. The other thing we want to locate is the oil drain plug, which is a little harder to see here, but I'll try to get you a good visual. If you go in from the passenger side tire, it's directly in from it. The oil pan is directly underneath it here. And I think I can get you in there. And let's see here. There it is. So that's what you're looking for. There's like a cutout in the frame here. It's for the oil to drain. So all you need to do is just kind of reach in here with a socket and get that loosened up. And that's actually where we're going to start here in just a moment. Alright, so I went ahead and unscrewed the oil pan drain plug here, and we're just getting all the old oil drained out. So one of the things I forgot to mention that you will need in the oil change process is an oil pan of some sort, or something to catch the used oil. This one I think I got at Auto Parts Place for a couple bucks. But so all I did was just use the socket there. I think this one's a 15 millimeter, and just loosened up that drain plug. Careful not to drop it in your oil. It makes it harder to find later on. But I'm going to go ahead and just let all that oil drain out. And once that stops dripping there, I'm going to go ahead and just replace the oil pan drain plug here and make sure that's nice and secure. And then we'll move on to the next step here. Okay, so now that we've drained all of the oil out, the old oil out, and replaced the drain plug in the oil pan, so that's all securely and tightened down and everything like that, so it's not cross-threaded or and obviously you don't want to leave that loose. It's very important that that gets securely put back in, otherwise your oil will leak out or drain out. So got the old oil here in the oil pan, and basically, or this oil catcher here, and basically what I usually do is just pour it right back into the container. I had an old one that was empty here, so I'll pour the dirty oil back into this container, and then you just take it right back up to the auto place for recycling. Generally, most of the auto parts places will take the used oil back. I know AutoZone and O'Reilly's and some of the other nationwide chains will do that. So I just have a little funnel that I made here out of the top of a 2-liter bottle. So you don't even have to have a funnel if you don't have one to do this. Just cut the top of a 2-liter pop bottle off, or a soda bottle, and use that as your funnel. So we'll get this oil put back in the container here, and then we'll move on to changing the actual oil filter. Okay, so back where we identified the oil filter from earlier, it's kind of on the left side from center here, so just to the left. And if you kind of just take a look straight down, you'll see it. See if I can get some light in here for you. But basically, there's the blue thing down there is the oil filter. So again, generally these should be loose enough to take off by hand, but if you're not able to get it off by hand, they do sell these little oil wrenches here, so you can take these off or use it to take the oil filter off. Another thing that you're going to want to do is go ahead and place your oil pan under the vehicle, because you are going to get some oil that will come out of the oil filter, so you can kind of stage it right underneath where that's gonna drip down, so you can save as much of that oil and keep it off your floor. I've already loosened this one up, but you can just basically reach down and unscrew that oil filter, and I'll pull that out for you here. Okay, so there we go, and that's basically the dirty oil filter. We're just gonna put that back in the, I usually wrap it in a plastic bag and put it in a box, and then we can recycle that as well. So we'll go ahead and set this aside. Next thing that we'll go ahead and do is I'll show you how to prep the new oil filter for to put it in here, and we'll make sure we get the take a clean towel and wipe off the front of where that oil filter just came off of, so you have a nice clean seal in there. So generally just take like a clean towel and wipe that off, and then I'll show you how to prep the new oil filter. Alright, so in order to ensure that you get a nice good seal on the oil filter when you screw it back on there, so this is our new oil filter here. Just take a little bit of the new oil and just put it in the cap. And then I just take my finger and just kind of dab a little bit of that oil, and then just run it around a bead on the edge here. So just keep getting a little more and just kind of run a nice little bead. Just make sure that that seal is kind of moist, and you get a little bit of that lubrication when you screw down there. So it just creates a real nice seal. Obviously you don't want to have any leaks. So now we've got this prepped. Basically what we're going to do here is just reach down in there carefully and try not to bump this on any of the other engine parts, and just screw this on. Now the oil filter, it basically what they tell you is once you screw it on and it starts to get firm, try to go about a 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn after it gets firm on there with your hand. Don't use your oil filter wrench to tighten it on there. This is just for taking the oil filter off. The oil filter should be nice and firmly in there, but you should not do any tighter than you can do with your hand. Unless it's in a different vehicle that's very hard to reach and you need to get the wrench in there just to get it a little tighter, but you should really only be using your hand on this. You will strip these threads out if you crank on it with a wrench, and it will be bad. So just use your hand, that way you don't have to worry about that. It will seal just fine with a hand tighten seal. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back in there, and then we'll go through filling the oil in the engine and start it up and do a cycle of the engine here for a few minutes, and then we'll test and see how much oil we have. Now, one note I did mention, about 5 quarts of oil should be enough. technically the engine does take 5.5 quarts according to the manual. I'm going to go ahead and put our 5 quarts in here and see what we get with it, and it probably will be fine. It'll probably be on the low end of the acceptable range, but so I may have to grab another quart here, but 5 should be sufficient. Again, manual does say 5.5 quarts is full, so give us just a minute here and we will get on to the next step. Alright, so we've got all the dirty oil drained out. We've got the new oil filter installed down there. Again, just hand tightened and nice and securely in there, but just tighten that with your hand. And the oil here, the oil fill, we're going to go ahead and fill up and put the new oil in now. So oil fill is right here. It's labeled with the big oil symbol on it. This is a turn and pull, so you're going to turn it to the left and then wiggle it out. It's got a little notch on it there. So, and for this I've got a clean regular funnel. This is important. You want to try to prevent dripping oil as much as possible, because any oil that you drip in this case is going to go right onto the exhaust manifold and other engine parts that are going to get hot and burn and smoke and make a mess. So carefully and slowly pour in the oil, and again I'm adding 5 quarts here, and then we're going to see where we're at with it. I may need to pick up a little bit more. This is all I picked up when I went out to change the oil in here, so we'll go ahead and add it and we'll test it and see where the oil level's at, and we'll go from there. Alright, so I went ahead and started the engine up, let it run for a little while, went around and checked to make sure there's no leaks. So I went ahead and checked underneath the oil filter down here, made sure that nothing was leaking down there. Went ahead and checked over by the oil plug, made sure nothing was leaking over there. Make sure there's no leaks anywhere else, and everything's looking good. So I went ahead and shut the engine off, and now we're going to just do the oil level check. So the dipstick is kind of right down in this area here. You can see the tip of my finger here. That's where the oil check level or dipstick is. It's a yellow handle. I've got it out here just so you can see where the oil level's at. But so a little bit of ride up on the dipstick pulling it out, but it looks like it's just between those two holes. So in that thatch or that cross mark area is where the oil should be, and it's definitely in that area now, so it should be at a good level. So you always want to check the oil when the engine's off. This dipstick measurement system here is meant to check the oil in the oil pan, and so if the engine's running, it'll actually, a lot of the oil is up in the engine circulating around, and so you won't get an accurate measurement there. So we've got the oil all changed, no leaks, everything's in tight, and looks like we've got a good level of engine oil. Now I'll go ahead and check it about a week later here just to make sure, because again we're about 1/2 quart shy of what manufacturer recommends. So once everything gets worked in here, we may need to just top it off a little bit. So I'll check it again in about a week, just make sure we're still good. Next thing I'll do is just show you how to reset the engine oil life light in the dash so that we can get that back to 0. And I'll talk a little bit about that tool and how to use it. So, alright, so in most of these newer Chevy models, there's an oil life gauge or monitoring system. It'll tell you how much oil life is remaining, starting at 100% all the way down to 0. Our meter's down to 0 here. So every time you get the oil change or you change it yourself, you have to reset this back to 100%. Now, this is a great tool to use to give you a general idea of when to change the oil. But this is not always 100% accurate. It does depend on what type of oil that you're putting in the vehicle. If you're using a better synthetic oil or a synthetic blend oil, you can probably go beyond what the oil life meter here says. It's up to you and how you want to maintain your vehicle. I generally go about 5,000 miles before changing the oil, and so this is generally at 0 and a little bit beyond after it tells me to when I change it. Now, it's not going to hurt to change it a little bit earlier than that. It never hurts to have the fresh oil in the system, but it does cost more, obviously, to change it more often. So I do recommend that you change it regularly, at least 5,000 miles or less. So, all right, so to go ahead and change this back to 100%, go over to your controls here. And different vehicles, it might be a little different. Cadillac, Buick, or other GM vehicles, this might be in a different place, but the symbols should be the same. You should have the little car here with the information symbol next to it. You'll push that button until you get over to where it says 0% oil life remaining. And then you just go ahead and take your check mark here and hold down the check mark button. And so we'll go ahead and do that now. And you hold that down for, I think, I don't know, it's 5 seconds or so. Then that'll go to 100%, and you can let go at that point, and you're done. So now it's reset, and that tool will, or that gauge will continue to monitor the vehicles, it goes by time and it goes by mileage, and it will get back down to zero. So that's all you need to do to get the oil changed in a 2009, 2010, 2011, or 2012 Chevy Traverse. This tutorial also will hold true for most of your Buick and Cadillac models that are similar to the Traverse, GM models as well. It might even hold true for some of the other model Camaros and other model Chevy engines with the V6. So to kind of a general overview of how to change the oil in a Chevy V6 or Chevy 3.6 liter. So if you have any questions, throw them in the comments section. Hopefully this found you well and was informational for you. I helped you out. If you have any comments on how I could do things differently or better, or any things that you do to help improve maintenance on your vehicle, please throw them in the comment section. I always appreciate feedback, and we can share that with the other viewers as well. If you're interested in any other tutorials or any other information videos, I've got other home improvement projects and aquaponics and other things like that we're doing. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and check out some of the other videos we have. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.